Hey guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Exodus chapter 28, we read about the garments that were to be made for Aaron. And this was to show him as holy to the people. It says in verse 2, "You shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother for glory and for beauty." And it goes on to say, "You shall speak to all those wise at heart, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they make Aaron's garments to set him apart as holy, in order for him to minister as priest to me." And so these garments were to set him apart as holy. Now, God had already appointed or had made Aaron holy through him appointing Aaron as the high priest. However, these garments also were to set him apart as holy, so that Aaron would be positionally holy through God's pronouncement that he was the high priest, but also he was to express this holiness through the garments that he was wearing, so that when people saw his garments, they would say, "This is the high priest. This is the one that God has appointed. This is the one that God has set apart to minister as God's priest." And so as we think about this, we have a similar experience as well. We too have been appointed as holy before the Lord. We're told in 1 Peter chapter 2 that we are a holy priesthood before God, a royal priesthood before him, a chosen generation. We have been set apart from the world unto God through our faith in Jesus Christ. And so positionally before God, we are already holy. However, there also has to be an outward expression of this holiness, so that when people see us and see our actions and the way that we respond to situations, they'll see holiness. In Revelation chapter 19, starting in verse 7, we have a description of the bride, or we could say the church. It says, "Let us rejoice and be glad and give glory to him, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. And it was given to her to clothe herself in fine linen, bright and clean, for the fine linen is the righteous acts of the saints." And so the fine linen that was on Aaron was the expression of holiness that he had imparted to him by God. For the Christian, the fine linen that we have is the righteous acts that we perform. And that is the outward expression of the holiness imparted to us by Christ. And what is this garment that we wear? Well, it's a garment, for one, it's a taking off of the old garment, of the old self, and putting on this new garment. There's a new garment that we put on. In Colossians chapter 3, in verse 8, or starting in verse 8, it says, "But now you also lay them all aside." So, like taking off the old garments, it says, "Lay these aside, wrath, anger, malice, slander, and abusive speech from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, since you put off the old man with its evil practices." And so, like you would take off old garments or old clothing, you take off the old person and you want to put on the new person. He continues and says, "And have put on the new man, who is being renewed to the full knowledge according to the image of the one who created him." And he describes what this looks like in verse 12 of Colossians 3. "So as the elect of God, holy and beloved." So as the elect, as the holy and beloved, that's what we are positionally before God. That's what we are. We are to express this by what? By putting on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another, and graciously forgiving each other, whoever has a complaint against anyone, just as the Lord graciously forgave you, so also should you. Above all these things, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. And so we take off those old garments of anger, malice, slander, abusive speech, all these different things. We take that off and we put on the holy garments of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, bearing with one another, forgiving one another, and putting above all these love. And so as we put on these new garments, then we can express the holiness imparted to us by Christ. And when people see us, they'll see a holy people. Just as they would see Aaron walking in his priestly garments and say, that's a holy person. As they see us expressing these righteous acts and expressing these various things found in Colossians chapter 3 and other places as well, they'll say, that's a holy person, or those are holy people who live a life different from everyone else and live a life of a higher standard than everyone else. These are righteous people. And so that's what we want to have in our own lives. Yes, positionally holy before God, but also practically living that out in our day-to-day living. And hopefully our reading today will inspire us to do that as we read about the priestly garments. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.